All right, we are back. Essential Matters Podcast, episode number 2. It is officially October in Michigan. And today we're going to be talking about cold plunges. I'm Lukas, and that is Joe. And so with cold plunges, first we're going to start out understanding cold plunges, what it is, kind of the science behind it. Get into the health benefits, mental and emotional well-being, super important. Some practical tips for cold plunging, and some of our personal experiences and stories. So that's kind of an outline for the podcast today. So let's just get it right into it.
Yeah, I just got out the cold plunge yesterday for the first time, so today will be the first time we go in it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to go in it after the podcast.
Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about understanding cold plunges, and I guess we can start out with that right away, like what a cold plunge is. So cold plunge is, just cold water. It's a cold body of water, whether that be a lake or a tub in your backyard, a chest freezer filled with water, or whether that's a cold shower. I mean, it's all a cold plunge at the end of the day. I guess technically they say a cold plunge is like somewhat towards like 40-degree, body of water. It could be above or below that, but.
And I guess like the official like cold plunging is fully submerging your body in cold water. So like the cold shower is kind of a little way around the cold plunge, but a lot of people don't have like that body of water to go into. So cold showering is how I started. I think it's a great way to get used to cold water and what it feels like to be cold. So really cold showering is probably what a lot of people have access to.
Well, let's start out with what's the purpose of cold water? Why would you step into cold water? Because that's the first thing I think people think. I mean, every time I tell somebody I have a cold plunge, like we tell anybody, whether that be a coworker, a friend, or family, they're like, why? First question, why? Why would you purposely go into a cold body of water? Explain.
Yeah, why would you want to put your body through that pain? So kind of the science behind cold plunging is the vasoconstriction and vasodilation of your blood vessels. So when you get into a body of water that's very cold like that, whether you're in the cold plunge or even in the cold shower, your blood vessels are going to constrict to conserve heat. And it's kind of a protective response from the body. It's just a natural thing. You're exposed to cold, your body's going to react. So when you're in the cold water, you get that vasoconstriction. Your body's trying to conserve the heat, maintain that core body temperature for the body. And so that's all when you're in the cold water, you're immersed in it, in the cold shower, in the cold plunge, whatever. But right when you leave the cold plunge, the cold shower is when you get that vasodilation. Your blood vessels open up, they dilate, and it leads to really great health benefits like increased blood flow and rewarming of the body. So that's kind of like the biggest thing that's going on with your body when you're exposed to cold water, kind of the science aspect around that.
So you'd say like the first thing you're looking for is just like the reaction in the body.
Reaction in the body.
You want the reaction of the body, and the biggest reaction that happens in the body is the blood just starts flowing everywhere.
Yep.
Like blood, at first when you're in it, it stops flowing everywhere and it kind of constricts, you're saying, and then after it opens up and everything just starts flowing really heavily.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why a lot of people like the cold plunging is because you feel good. Your blood vessels are dilated, blood's flowing to all around different parts of your body. So that's like right when you get out of the cold plunge, everyone has that feel good effect. Like I feel great. So that's kind of like the main science behind it of what's going on in the body. And that brings us into what happens right after is the release of endorphins. Endorphins are kind of like the feel-good chemicals in the body, the natural painkillers or the mood enhancers. You feel really, really good when you get out of the cold plunge. And that's like the main benefit and effect that happens right after you get out.
Yeah, that was like one of the biggest reasons. I mean, there was like two big reasons I got in, but the one big reason was for sure the endorphins. Like the feel good of it is just absolutely insane. Like if you think going to work out feels good and then coming out and like, yeah, you feel good about yourself because you put yourself through a hard workout, the cold plunge is like that on steroids. It's
so
ridiculous.
Good. It's so good. Like when you first start cold plunging and you get into it, you put your mind to it, like you're going to do this for a couple minutes. That's all you need really is a couple minutes of being in the cold water. But right when you first start doing it, the first week, you're going to get out of there and feel amazing. That's why another reason why I love to do it in the morning. Great way to start off your day. You're feeling good for a prolonged period of time after you cold plunge. So starting your day like that, you really have a good outlook for the rest of the day.
So you're saying, I agree with that entirely, by the way.
Yeah.
But so you're saying so far we have the blood flow, we have endorphins start being released, and with those endorphins being released, I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, how do those endorphins get released? So from what I know, like they get released because you have like certain emotions that you experience when you're in the cold plunge, and then you kind of get the opposite of them after.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure the exact science. What's the exact science necessarily behind these endorphins being released and like these neurotransmitters just all kicking off?
Yeah, like one of the ways like I can understand that, and I don't know if this is the best way to explain it, but when people take a drug called cocaine, it's kind of like the same like feel good effect of like I feel great, like everything's good, like I just feel very uplifted is the best way to explain it. So that's the reason why people do cocaine, like it's a really uplifting thing. And it deals with the like there are neurotransmitters in the brain, and there's a bunch of different neurotransmitters that have different purposes. I'm not sure the exact endorphins that are released with the cold plunge.
I mean,
but
dopamine is the most obvious one.
Dopamine,
That's what we look at.
Dopamine's the biggest one. That's relating that to cocaine. Is when you take cocaine, you get that really huge spike in dopamine. The feel good neurotransmitter is what it is. So I guess to your point, the biggest neurotransmitter is dopamine. That's what's being released. That's like the mood enhancer. That's what's making you feel good. But to relate that to cocaine and kind of like the science behind the difference between cocaine and a cold plunge is when you take cocaine, you get that really huge mood enhancement, spike in dopamine. And then one of the things with cocaine is you crash, like, and that's what makes cocaine so addictive is you feel good and then you crash and then you're like, oh, I want more of that. I want to get more of that feel good. So with cold plunge, the biggest difference is you get into the cold water, you get out, you get that spike in dopamine, you're feeling really good. But the difference between cocaine and cold plunge is the cold plunge, you don't ever receive that dip, that loss of dopamine. It's a prolonged like decrease in that spike of feeling good. That's why I like doing the cold plunge in the morning. Like you feel good for most of the day, if not all the day.
Well, because you do experience. I would say you do experience the dip. The dip's just not after the good effects. It's before.
Yeah.
You induced the dip.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing drugs to get dopamine, there was no dip ever. You just took the drugs. You went from good or whatever you were at before, and you just went up without having to ever dip anywhere. Yeah, you didn't have to ever dip from your baseline. That's not like how that endorphins work. Like it's not gonna. With the cold plunge, you're dipping yourself, literally dipping yourself in the water, but dipping your dopamine down as low as you can, and then it just skyrockets back up over the baseline.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, the difference between like doing drugs and the cold plunge for that dopamine is
the difference between doing drugs and a cold plunge.
Oh, there's a lot of good science behind like coming off like recovery from doing cocaine, like cocaine addicts, and actually doing cold plunges.
Yeah, they use the cold plunge. They use I've heard that they use the cold plunge in like these drug rehabilitation centers to get that dopamine for the person that's used to getting it all the time from the drugs, because then they have no dopamine. They're just stuck at the dip.
Yeah.
They're stuck below their baseline, and that's why these people get depressed. Like they just do terrible things. They go back to the drugs, whatever. So they put them in the cold plunge, and then hopefully it's going to get their dopamine back to up to their baseline or over. What are the exact numbers on that again? Isn't it 2 times your baseline, 2.5 times your baseline you
Yeah,
can reach?
it's something like that. It's pretty. I think it might even be like 3 to 5 times your baseline, which makes cold plunging so profound. But yeah, it's used with drug addicts. I think mainly like people addicted to cocaine, and using it to help them recover from that terrible drug addiction. But yeah, so that's that's the endorphin part of the science behind cold plunge. One of the things that I was also interested in when I first started cold plunging was the activation of brown fat in the body and everything related to that. Because one of the things when I started cold plunging was, I was hitting the gym a lot more. I was trying to lose weight, and cold plunging is something that directly affects the brown fat, which in turn can burn calories in the body. That's another thing that I really love about cold plunging.
Yeah, how does it actually stimulate the activation of the brown fat, like the adipose tissue? How does that work?
I'm not sure exactly how it works. It's kind of like you have two different types of fat in the body: the brown fat and white fat. White fat stores energy, and brown fat, I think, is contributing to burning energy and calories. Or brown fat generates heat by burning calories.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the whole difference. Just that when cold plunging, you get a lot of brown fat adipose tissue activation, which
generates heat. So maybe that's why, because you're cold, so your brown fat needs to start kicking off to generate heat.
and that goes back to
just for your body in general.
Yeah, exactly. So. That goes back to the vasoconstriction of your blood vessels. When your blood vessels are vasoconstricting, your body's trying to actively conserve heat. Yeah. Your body's a very smart thing. It can do a lot. So when you're exposed to extreme temperatures, which is not even extreme with the cold plunge, it's just very different than what we're used to throughout the day. We're used to sitting in a temperature controlled house.
Yeah.
If it's the summer, like, you'd wear,
it's temperature controlled at all times of the year, whether it's summer and it's hot, people run their AC. During the winter, they run their heat. How many people really don't use their heat or AC a year? Like, that's just not common, at least in USA.
Yeah, you're constantly exposed to a temperature controlled environment. So that's another really cool thing about cold plunging is you're purposely putting your body through, I think it's a good stress. You're purposely putting your body through a good stress, and you're reaping a lot of the benefits that happen, and basically all the different things going on as you're being exposed to that cold water.
They call that eustress, right?
Yeah,
that's a eustress.
Eustress, the good stress.
That's a positive stress. So that's like an induced positive stress, since we never have to face stress based on the environment temperatures. So we have blood flow. So you're saying some fat loss in terms of like your brown fat. Burning calories, like generating heat. Yeah. We have endorphin releases. We have a nervous system. Oh, that's the next one we could do, is the nervous system stimulation.
And I think that's a really cool one.
Yeah. That's like the biggest thing I notice when I'm in there. You could know in real time that your nervous system is just freaking out.
Exactly. And anybody that's taken a science class, you've probably heard of the two different parts of the nervous system: the fight or flight response, and the rest and digest response. So when you're in the cold plunge, you get that fight or flight response, which contemporarily with the cold plunge boosts your energy and alertness. So that's another reason why doing it in the morning is so productive. Is I like to get all my work done in the morning, so doing the cold plunge boosts my energy, boosts my productiveness for whatever I might be doing. And I'm like, I want to get stuff done. Like I want to go. I want to be very productive. So the nervous system stimulation is huge with the cold
that's why
plunge.
people like to do it before exercise. Like, I hear the professional athletes a lot of them are doing cold plunges before their workouts, and it's activating their nervous system. And when they get out, like they just feel insane during their workout. So it can really just help get you going, especially in the morning when you wake up from sleep. Like you need to get going, and that'll be the number one thing. That'll just kick you into gear. Like you think a coffee is gonna wake you up, like caffeine does not affect your nervous system the same way the cold plunge seems to.
Yeah, that's one of the I wish when I played soccer I was doing cold plunging before. I think it would have been really
Oh
really
yeah, like
useful.
before a game, yeah, that'd
Oh
be
yeah.
nuts. I know, and then you do like a nice half hour, 45-minute warm up your body. Oh yeah, you'll be good to roll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been
that would have been a great idea.
really
Okay,
good.
so we have nervous system stimulation. So we can do like reduction of inflammation next. So that's the other thing. And that was like the big thing I initially. That was the I was saying two things earlier, was the endorphins, and then the other big like motive for me ever getting in the cold plunge at first was the reduction of inflammation. So
Totally.
I was like working out a ton, and I was like, what's the best recovery method? And you see it everywhere, like the ultra recovery, and yeah, it's that it's thought to reduce your inflammation, especially your muscles, and
Yeah, muscle recovery.
that's why they say, like a disclaimer, like you shouldn't do the cold plunge right after your workout because it really does help recover your muscles, and that's like you don't want to start that process yet necessarily. You need natural stuff to kind of take place before you start trying to reduce them. But like the next day, like when you're really sore, to hop in that cold plunge, oh my god, it feels great.
Amazing. Yeah, so just a little behind the inflammation reduction is how that all works is when you expose your body to the cold, it can decrease blood flow to those tissues and slow down the metabolic processes, alleviating that inflammation and soreness that you have from that workout, that soccer game, that sporting event, whatever. So the cold therapy is really good with muscle recovery in athletes and anyone that's training or doing tough tasks
And that's the one
to
that's
their
been
body.
prevalent for a while. Like I've always known that. Like people put ice in a tub, and growing up, like that's how you recover.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the one thing I think I kind of always knew, but all the other stuff, like that's like new stuff I've all learned.
Yeah, and then to close on one other thing, we have reduction of inflammation, and then another thing for me was the adaptation to stress, and the cold was like we were just saying, it's a eustress, it's a good stress. You're putting your body through something tough, and any other hard task you might come through out the day aren't as bad in my opinion. So when I started cold plunging and doing all this, I would go through this hard stress. I'd always do it in the morning, the cold exposure. And then anything I came through out my day, whether it was giving a presentation in class when I was in college or talking with people, it just didn't seem as bad because I was putting my body through this stress adaptation. And over time, I just looked at different things in my life like that's not important, like that's not bad, like the stress I got from it wasn't as profound as what it used to be after starting cold plunging.
Yeah,
So
you just you put things in perspective better when you go through like hard experiences, right? So you put yourself through a hard experience, and then something else happens later in the day, and you're just like, what I did earlier was way harder. So this is nothing.
dude, every time I did a lot of cold showering because that's all I had access to, but every single morning when I was in the cold shower and I knew I had some excuse me, tough tasks to do throughout the day, presentations, when I was in the cold shower, I was always like, this is nothing, like this is the worst thing I'm gonna go through today.
Yeah.
Like not even worse, but like this is a tough thing I'm going throughout the day, and it's happening right now in the morning. And anything that else that happens, it's just like whatever.
Throw it off the shoulder. It's
Whatever.
like whatever, dude. I'm worried about tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and like yeah, exactly. I'm worried about the next 7 a.m. cold shower I'll be taking.
Yeah.
But no, that was huge for me. All of these things kind of are interrelated, but I think like really highlighting the stress part for me was really huge. Great way to start the morning.
All right. And then the next thing we can list, another reason why. What do we have? Like 7 reasons here so far? Yeah. So the next one will be immune system. So this is like the big, like Wim Hof, what he's all about is, it helps your immune system. You don't get sick as much. He's like what did they do with Wim Hof? They injected him with some sort of bacteria that's supposed to like potentially kill the average person or make them very sick, and he did not experience any symptoms and just handled it like a boss.
Yeah, and I think the biggest component of that is when you're exposing your body to cold water, cold plunge every day, however many times a week you do it, you're actively increasing your white blood cell count, which white blood cells are the type of cell that fights off infections. Whenever you're sick, you get an increase in white blood cell count. So when you're actively cold plunging and exposing your body to these tough temperatures and reaping all these benefits, you're also increasing your immune system for the future whenever you might come across a pathogen or sickness that could put you out of commission for a few days. It might only put you out of commission for a day or two, like having this increase in white blood cell count.
Seems like the same idea as exposing yourself to bacteria and how kids need to expose themselves to bacteria.
Totally.
Like you need to, it's exposing yourself to like stressful times. Like it's exposing your body to stress in general. It's exposing your body to cortisol spikes that are induced that you probably just don't get from anywhere else in modern day life. Like you just don't get those kind of cortisol spikes.
Yeah.
So
No, totally. And that, like, little side note, I watched a podcast with Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and she talked about how as you're a kid, you're playing on the playground, you're in school with so many different people, you're being exposed to a multitude of different like colds, rhinoviruses, like whatever, like a lot of different pathogens your body has never been exposed to before. And it's actually a good thing because in the future, when you come across it, your body is like, oh, I've seen that before. Like, no big deal. Like, I know how to fight this. So that was very interesting. And yeah, like you said, to your point, like constant good stress like this is not a bad thing.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. In the modern day world, it's not bad to induce some stress. People probably don't face enough of it in the right manner, at least. So next, that's like all the reasons why. At the end of the day, I mean, we have a few other benefits here that we can touch up on. So we talked about blood flow, like muscle inflammation, immune function, mood. That's with the release of the endorphins. So like the brown adipose tissue. We have stress, and I guess another thing that we left out here would be improved sleep. So, people are reporting, better sleep quality after cold water immersion. So, what do you mean by that? Do you mean cold water immersion at night before bed or in the morning and then it's helping your sleep?
I think just in general, so whatever time of the day you're doing the cold plunge, I think you're still getting that benefit of the endorphin and feeling good. So you're exposing your body to the stress of cold water, and then basically whenever you're going to sleep at night, like you don't feel as stressed, or you don't have that buildup of stress from the day that might cause you to not sleep well, or it might cause you to fall asleep fast, like whatever it might be. I think is like the main point with improved sleep. And that's very subjective, I would say. Like everybody's different, and like some people might fall asleep faster than others. Some people might sleep through the whole night. Some people might wake up at multiple times during the night. So I think it's very subjective, but personally, at least with me, like I started cold plunging, and this was also when I was doing a lot of other stuff too, working out, sauna, whatever. But I really think the cold plunge had an effect with me in sleeping. I never was waking up at multiple times during the day. Whenever I would go to sleep, I wasn't thinking about everything in my life, like, oh, this is stressing me out, that's stressing me out. I think the cold plunge, cold shower, like just really kind of contains all of that. It contains it in a way where I'm just not feeling some type of way at night and having problems sleeping. So
Yeah, I could see it in the if you're doing them in the morning. The reason why I could see it in the morning is because you're kicking off all of like these like cortisol spikes really early in the morning. So you're waking up early. You're doing it at like 7 a.m. Now you're going to be ready to go to bed earlier probably and get better sleep because of it. Because you didn't like sit there groggy for an hour or two while you slowly but surely woke up. Like you just kicked into gear. And then your body, like the cortisol was raised, and then all your bodily functions started running.
yeah,
And so, and you induced some stress, like definitely some stress. So at night, it's the same thing as like if you had a hard workout during the day, right? Like at night, you're going to sleep better. So it's kind of a similar thing. Like you put yourself through a stressful event, you're going to get better rest at the end of the night.
yeah, and to that point, like if you know you're in that routine, you know you're going to be cold plunging in the morning, cold showering in the morning, like you're in that routine. Like when you're trying to go to sleep at night, like you're not sitting there like, oh, I'm going to sit on my phone for like an hour and I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Like I'm ready for bed because I know in the morning, like I'm putting myself through this good stress. Like I need to get some sleep. I'm not trying to feel tired in the morning. I think like all of it is like a combined effect of like in the morning you're starting your day off right. You're starting that timer. Like you only got so many hours during the day to do stuff, be productive. So when you're in the morning, when you start your day off with that cold plunge, like you're going, you're raising that good stress, like you're ready to go. So when it comes down to going to sleep at night, like you had a full day of activity, productiveness, everything. I think that it just all combines in the end to good things. So with the sleep, like I think that it's subjective to each person, but I think in general, it's you're in that routine of cold plunging. I think it's the routine part that really hits, at least for me in my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a great accomplishment to start in the morning. It's like
Totally.
literally how do you start every single day with like a big accomplishment. So, I mean, that's a great way to start going. Yeah, I mean, I probably had improved sleep. I'm not sure because you're doing a lot of other things at the same time. So, like you said, it's hard to tell. So we have sleep, and then yeah, you said mental clarity earlier. But yeah, hence you feel a lot more mentally alert. I definitely
Let's talk about that mind body connection. When
mind
you're
body connection. What do you mean?
so when you're in the cold plunge, I think the biggest thing at first, like when you go in it, is I need to breathe.
Oh yeah.
Like when you first get in there, you're like your breath is taken away. Like you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this is extreme. Like this is insane. And I think like what I mean by mind body connection is really focusing on what's going on in the moment. What am I doing right now? I'm in cold water. My whole body's exposed to it. Really connecting your breath to your thoughts. And when you're in the cold plunge, like you're not thinking about a lot of stuff. Like you're in there, like I'm not thinking about what I'm doing in 3 hours. I'm not thinking about
No.
what's going. I'm thinking about right now. Like you're in the moment. Like the mind body connection. Like your whole body's exposed. And that was another thing is really like getting your hands in the water, dunking like your head under at first, like getting your whole body exposed to that cold. Really like focusing on what's going on in the moment is like kind of the what I mean by mind body connection. Like connecting your breath to what's going on right now. Like I don't know what you're thinking about. I don't really think about much when I'm in the cold plunge,
No.
except for when's the time up? Like when am
Yeah.
I getting out of
There's
here?
nothing else to think about. I swear that's the one thing. Like, if you are stressed out thinking about something else, and you want to get your mind off of it, if you go in a cold plunge, yeah, your mind will immediately go away from it. I don't know how you're gonna like. You can't think about anything else. There's no room in your brain left for it.
No.
Like all you can do, it's like it's the fight or flight mode. Like you just go into fight or flight. I mean, you're gonna jump out. I mean,
Yeah.
so it puts you in a really interesting state.
Yeah, and just a little personal story about that. I remember it was New Year's Eve. We were watching Michigan play TCU, college football playoff. Michigan loses to TCU. It was tough. We're feeling terrible. Like, I was feeling terrible. Last day of the year, we lose to TCU. And we both went in the cold plunge.
Yeah, that was
And,
at midnight.
oh, it was late. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was really
in
late.
Michigan and New Year's Eve. Oh my, it was snowy. It was all iced
Snowing,
up.
there was ice in the cold plunge. And so to the point, I didn't want to think about Michigan. I was very heartbroken from that loss. So hopping in the cold plunge was amazing because I was thinking about what is going on right now. It's very extreme temperatures. It's cold outside. Like, that's all I was thinking about in the moment. It was a way to get my mind off of Michigan losing. So just a little funny story about mind-body connection and really what it can do. Like, you're taking your thoughts away. Like, if you're really like a scatterbrained person, like you're thinking of a ton of things at a ton of times, hopping in that cold plunge and the mind-body connection of your breath, whatever you're thinking about, which is probably nothing, and what you're in, the cold water. I think it's insanely good.
Yeah.
To like restore to like, I think restore to like reality.
Yeah. To be like, yeah, snap back into reality a little bit. You're going off the rails. Snap back into reality.
Well, yeah, like people get so like sidetracked in life. Like, I don't know, like,
Caught up in BS.
yeah, like unnecessary things.
Here,
in
you
your
get in the
life.
cold plunge. We'll put your whole life in perspective.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're like, wait, that didn't matter. Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I could agree. I think the mental game of it at the end of the day is actually huge. Past all the health benefits or, vasodilation or vasoconstriction, any of it, like
Yeah,
the
and
mental
like
benefits are actually unreal.
if you have any kind of like depression, anxiety, I think a cold plunge can go a very long way.
Yeah.
Very long way, and feeling good after, managing your stress correctly, having the mental clarity after, like the energy, the boost in productiveness. I think like all of those combined benefits for someone that may be struggling with depression, anxiety, stress, the cold plunge is such a great resource to use to really get back into reality perspective, like what's important, like what actually is important. Like, people get caught up a lot of times, like my job, like my personal life, like all these other things, all this external noise that's going around. Cold plunge can really set you back to like what's really important, and what's really important in my life, and what should I be focusing on.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that makes me mad, like learning about the cold plunge and then experiencing it. And I watch like these people who like they have mental, some sort of mental health issues, some sort of depression experience, whatever. And before they, try things like this, given their health is in the right state and it's safe for them to do it, before they try this, they're going to like medicine or some pill or something else, and it's like you need to try this first, because this is as long as it's healthy and safe for you, because I would say this isn't for everybody. To hop in cold water, depending how cold it is. I think everybody almost could take a cold shower, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, even there, like before you start running into medication, you need to at least try a cold shower or something. You don't have to go buy a tub and do everything and put it outside, but at least hop in a cold shower and see how you feel after.
Yeah, see how your body reacts. Really, like trying to avoid the medication at first. Like, medications have a lot of good benefits. Like they're good at treating a lot of things, but at least like how we look at life and stuff, like what is like a natural way to fix something? Like, we didn't have medications, 100 years ago. Like, how do people really combat stress and anxiety? Like what is the most like effective way? Like, because sometimes the medication might not be the most effective way. Like, what's another way to get around that? So
I think you have to have tools at the end of the day. You got to have tools in your toolbox, and I think this could be one of them for so many people, especially younger people. Like maybe older people, you got some health conditions like that vasodilation, vasoconstriction is gonna, set off a heart attack or something, and that's possible.
Totally.
And that's something I want to talk about as a disclaimer as well. Is like, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody should cold plunge. You need to be at a certain level of health. You need to be at, I guess any age can do it. Wim Hof goes to prove that. But again, it's a certain level of health, I think, is the baseline.
Yeah. So like really like before like doing this, like maybe like consulting with somebody like and talking about it, like, hey, I'm thinking about this. Like, is this a good idea? And to address like the older population, like for it not being right for everybody, I've seen, and this is really, it comes down to like the means of like if you can afford a cold plunge, is there's types of cold plunging tubs that you can buy that you can control the temperature in. So I've seen like older people buy these cold plunges, and you can set the temperature to a certain temperature. And at least what we're doing with the cold plunge that we have, it's just outside. It's really contingent upon like what the temperature is. So if it's snowing outside, it's around 32 degrees, and sometimes ice chunks are in the cold plunge. So that's like the most extreme it can be, is around like 30 degrees, maybe somewhere around there. But with the older population, I have seen people that are in their 40s or 50s, they get a cold plunge and you can control the temperature, and they have it at like maybe 45, which is still like pretty cold. Like 45 is not like it's warm. Like it's not warm. Like you're not getting in a hot tub right now. Like the 45 degree water is not something that's
even Huberman,
easy to get into.
Even Huberman does 50.
Yeah, exactly.
But Rogan made fun of him for it. He got cooked.
Yeah, he's like, that's not cold at all.
He said, that's not cold, buddy. That's not a cold plunge.
Nah.
He said, what are you doing using 50? He said, you put that boy to 30. I think he said 34. Or he said he doesn't respect it.
Yeah.
But Rogan's a beast, so. But no, for people in general, especially like the average American, I mean, they probably can't just go hop in a cold plunge necessarily. But I think at least starting with cold water, we can actually get into practical tips in general, but starting with a cold shower, maybe transitioning to a cold plunge if possible. So like starting gradually, choosing the right spot. So making sure, it's all safe. You can get to heat quickly. Like don't be going out to a lake that's far away from a building or something. And
right.
You don't even know what's going to happen to you. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So like really like the biggest practical tip in getting started is starting gradually, like hopping in the shower, and maybe you're a person that does hot showers, like maybe at the end of the hot shower put it to cold for 30 seconds to a minute. That's how I started personally. I would turn it to cold at the end, and I would set the timer on my phone so I knew how long I was going for, and I started at like 30 seconds maybe. I could not bear it. Like it's not easy. It's totally different than from what you're used to. And starting at 30 seconds and then working your way up to a minute, 2 minutes. But starting gradually, and then the right location is huge. Like what you just said is you don't want to go to like a really cold lake or be outside and not have a towel or warm environment to go to after. So how we do it, how you have it set up at your house, is you have the cold tub, cold plunge right outside on your deck, and you go in it for a minute, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and then right after you have towels set up inside, and you have warm to go into, because you get out, like your body, your skin might be a little red, like you might feel a little numb. I don't know. So really having the right location is huge.
Yeah, I have the horse trough on the back deck, and that's literally just like a tub for horses to drink from. And I fill it with water from the sink, and I just leave it out there, and I let the environment take care of it. But yeah, it's right back by the back door. You can easily just get in and warm up right away. We usually go straight to the bathroom, and there's a heater right there, and it gets so toasty. It's great. But yeah, so choosing the right location, being mindful of the temperature. So in our case, like we can't really control it with an outdoor solution, but if you have a way to control it, going, not as cold. I guess the way, like we said, start gradually with a cold shower, and then you can kind of move on from there.
Yeah. So the way to get around, especially in your case of not really being able to control the temperature, is you can control the time. So if it's like right now, like after this, I'm gonna go cold plunge. It's a little warmer outside. It's in the 40, or no, it's in the 50s actually, but the water's still a little cold. So I know like I can go in there for a little longer, maybe. But to counter that, if it's like 30 degrees, like I know I can only maybe go like a minute or two. And biggest thing is like listening to your body. Like if you're not feeling good in there, like you're feeling really numb or whatever, like just get out and have that recovery, the warm recovery plan set up, having the warm towel or the towel outside, or going to take a warm shower or something after, or whatever it might be.
Or moving after feels great. Whether you're going into a workout or you're doing like the Wim Hof dance, I do not care. Like the Wim Hof dance, I swear, that's what he does after. They get out of the cold plunge and they all just like do this dance. And it's because it feels good, because all you want to do is move and just warm yourself up. So that's pretty huge in terms of like a warm-up plan.
Yeah, moving your body is, because like we said in the beginning, what happens right after is your blood vessels are vasodilating, so you get a lot of blood flow to your body. Like your body's a smart thing. Like it's gonna recover right after you get out of that cold. It's gonna warm up. Like everything's gonna be fine. But really, like having a controlled environment's huge, and having the warm recovery plan, like the towel or whatever, is really huge. Like, because then you know right after, oh, I'm getting out of this terrible temperature of 30 degrees, and I'm gonna go warm up with a towel. I'm gonna move around. I'm gonna feel good.
Yeah.
Like everything's gonna be good after.
Yeah. So I think the general safety tip is just don't jump the gun. That's basically all you gotta do. Just don't jump the gun. Don't go too crazy. If you're young, you can probably get away with a little more than if you're old. If you're old, definitely play it safe and do not jump the gun. You can slowly but surely work your way into a cold plunge eventually. But yeah, I'm excited to get the cold plunge going again.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about wintertime in Michigan. You can grind in the gym. You have the cold plunge outside. You're just really feeling good all the time with the cold plunge. Like, I could not recommend it enough to anybody. I've recommended
It's just fun. It's just honestly fun. Like it's just a way to like go out and like I don't know, just put your all into something for like a few minutes and just like feel so good about yourself. Feel so accomplished. Like I don't know, it's like a little like mini war each day that you face. Like it's war each day you're going into.
Yeah.
Like in the modern day, like at least in here, like there's not war. Like there's not much going on here, So you don't get that accomplishment of like just doing something so hard, and that's what this is. It's like inducing that just on the daily.
Yeah, everything in our lives is so
dose.
Yes, daily dose. Everything in our lives is so convenient. You can go to the grocery store and buy your food. Like you don't have to go.
No, you don't have to go to the grocery store and buy your food. That's the catch. You can just get it ordered to your house.
Yeah, you're right. You can get a DoorDash
You don't
right to your house.
have to go to the grocery store. You don't even have to. Yeah, you were gonna say, oh, you can go to the grocery store. You don't have to hunt nowadays, like a old caveman used to. No, you don't even have to go to the grocery store like an old modern man used to. You're just order it on DoorDash.
Have your groceries all delivered. Yeah, it's so yeah. The cold plunge it's like a war every day. You're getting ready to do something tough. I couldn't recommend it enough to anybody. I recommended it to all of my roommates. And the way we did it was, again, like we cold showered and really building up cold shower and starting with a shorter time, using the timer on your phone or if you have a watch to really measure out how much time you're in there. Because when you start off doing 30 seconds or a minute, you're feeling good right after, but like the next time you can go a little bit longer. So mapping out the time you're in it can go a long way. At least when I've been in the cold plunge here, fully submerging my body under the water and doing a minute. I think I only started out at a minute or so when I first started cold plunging. Excuse me. And once I started, increasing my time and realizing like each time I can increase it by a small increment, it was really cool, and seeing your growth and progression with how you're feeling your body, and and the amount of time you can stay in the water. So building consistency.
Yeah. I think the cold plunge can help a lot with like goal setting too, and like accomplishing goals. So like you can like purposely set a certain time you want to hit, and then like increase that every single day, and then eventually like get to a certain point, and then just like feel good about yourself for like doing this over a 30-day period or whatever that is a 3-month period. Like you went from doing it for 10 seconds or whatever that is your baseline was to like being able to go in there for 3 minutes and dunk your head and just being like, wow, I'm a monster.
Yeah, with the cold shower when I first started, it was like 30 seconds, and I was able to stay in there for 5 minutes at least. Like that's what I would do because I didn't have a cold plunge at my house in Ann Arbor, and so all I had was the shower. So I just increased the time in the shower, and I would go for 5 minutes at a time, and like it was really cool to see the progression going from 30 seconds to 5 minutes.
Yeah. So the cheapest entry level method I would say is cold shower. Then next would be like just buying a tub that you can put in your backyard. And then the next option after that would, well, either that or having a place by you that has one. That's really rare, so I'm not even going to count that. Some people you may be able to find a gym that has a cold plunge. That's pretty rare, so we're going to skip that. It's basically you're either having the tub in your backyard, cold shower, or
like a lake. You have a lake near you or something.
Oh, the lake's a good option. That's a free option. Wow. Okay, talk about a cost-free option. Yeah, lake. And then the best way would be, the temperature-controlled cold plunge. There's different brands and stuff. There's ones that are inflatable that you can bring around. I know people do that, which is pretty cool, like to be able to bring it on the go and stuff. I don't know.
At the end of the day, if you can reap some of these benefits from just exposing yourself to cold temperature, cold water, whatever, however it might be, I think is...
Yeah, even cold temperature, like just going outside and getting some cold temperature even feels good. I think that's even like a cost-free, semi-effective, I would call it effective method. Go outside, just experience some cold, like just wear like a little t-shirt or wear a little long sleeve or, even though it's the middle of winter, and just like be out there for 5-10 minutes and just like feel cold. You'll go back in the house, don't worry.
Exactly.
Feel cold, experience it.
Because some of the same things going on in your body with a cold plunge are going to be going on when you're outside in a t-shirt in the middle of winter. Your blood vessels are going to start vasoconstricting. Like you're going to reap some benefit of it, and it's going to be good for you. You're at the end of the day, you're getting fresh air, which is a great thing.
Yeah, that's the worst that can happen. You're getting fresh air. But yeah, I think experiencing just cold in general and just kind of putting yourself through that in general is a great idea.
Yeah.
And I think a thing almost everybody or most people should be doing, especially young people, especially people who work out and like to be active. I mean...
Yeah, any way you can increase your health, increase your training, cold plunging is a great tool to add to your repertoire of things you do to feel good and increase your bodily function. I think it's all super good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's a great way to increase the optimization of your health, which is kind of what we're about at the end of the day, and what this podcast is supposed to be. Is optimizing your health and little things you can do to just feel better and be better at the end of the day and be stronger. But we can go hop in. What time is it? 3. Yeah, we'll go hop in it ourselves. It's not a morning plunge, but I honestly could use one in the afternoon. I don't think an afternoon plunge is a
pick-me-up plunge?
Yeah, it's a pick-me-up at lunch, too, like, honestly. Like, I usually do it mainly in the morning, but I had a workout this morning, and I didn't do it before. So... now is perfect because I didn't want to do it right after my workout. But now it's been hours and hours. But, yeah, we'll cut this, and we will be going outside and cold plunging.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just put them in the comment section. Write us on X, or formerly Twitter. You have any questions about cold plunges or any experiences, any of your stories, let us know.
Yeah, fill up the comments. Fill up the comments with your experience of cold plunge and any questions, okay?
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Thank you for listening. That was the Essential Matters podcast.
Let me see. It's your video on. Are you recording?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get it. First cold plunge. Oh. Holy shit, dude. I'm not prepared at all. Dog's chasing an animal. Okay. Let's get it. Oh my god, it's cold, bro. It's freezing, dude.
It's that mind-body connection.
Oh my god.
How's it feel?
Awful. I'll go for a minute.
Yeah, dunk the head in at the end.
I will. I'm already at 40 seconds. 45. Woo! Woo! Damn! Oh my god, dude. Oh. Oh, dude, that feels like money, dude. Jeez Louise. Oh, that felt good.
Yeah.
I'm shaking them, just for reference.
That's cool.
Freezing. I'm literally shaking. There's no way the camera, like, this is screwed. Okay, I'm putting on the Instagram video one. I can't do two. I need double hands on it.
What up?
You saying hi, buddy? You've went for a minute now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Feel like $1 million?
I feel great.
I'm just shaking. Huh?
Dude, that was tough.
That's the plunge.
That was tough.